The following is a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. The date is March 19th, 2021, and the subject is the emotional aspect of the knees in the sign of Pisces. Me. The more adult I became, I thought that the more structures I would create in my mind, in my soul, in my life, conditioning me in my beliefs, in my feelings, and in my actions. The typical thing is to see how adults find their methodologies and cling to them. However, I get the feeling that it was the other way around. I grew up with many ideas and preconceptions, and I have fewer and fewer systems of my own. Today, in the talk at 144, I said it, and I realized it while I was speaking, I don't have a system. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I learned to flow, and it's what I usually always do. I am. You just have to recognize that flow doesn't become your system. Me. What do you mean? I am. That there are many ways to move through reality, and they are all through flow. Since things happen, they flow between time and space. However, the way they do it can determine the beauty or disaster. Because an avalanche caused by the flow of a dam that collapsed is not the same as a stream that feeds the forest in its path. It is necessary to flow within parameters that help maintain balance in your step. Flow comes from the Indo-European bleu, B-H-L-E-U, which means to pour out, overflow, drop over. The force with which you flow can destroy everything in its path, spill over life, or nourish it. Me. So it's not a simple matter of letting flow, there's more behind it. Because I always listen, and I support in many cases the importance of letting go, of letting things happen. I am. Let's understand how this works. The universe is like an ocean, and it is full of currents. In the Earth's oceans there are several, such as the Antarctic Circumpolar, the Norwegian Current, the Gulf Stream, the Madagascar Current, the Australian Current. They are produced by the Coriolis effect, the planet's centrifugal spin, and also by the high or low pressures generated by the heat and cold of the atmosphere. Thus hot water travels along the surface, descending like waterfalls towards the abysses when it cools, creating rivers of fresh water that run along the ocean floors. This generates cold and warm currents, which flow through large bodies of water. As we said, the universe is an ocean, and this implies that the positive and negative magnetic forces, they behave like warm and cold water flows. And each drop of water in these currents is a living being, transported between positive and negative paths. There are areas where these currents are neutral and do not push the waters, nor animals nor ships, like deserts in the middle of the water. There is neutrality, but there is no movement. Nothing happens. Therefore, sooner or later, everyone wants to ride the current. Me. It reminds me of the Disney movie Finding Nemo, when, to travel to Sydney, they have to get into the Australian current, and the sea turtles tell them, "Twist and flow." They explained to the little fish the importance of flowing to find food, security, destination, to keep moving forward, a kind of highway that everyone gets on to get far with the least effort. I am. This is where the flow makes sense, and where, at the same time, it confuses those who flow. The currents are energy pathways to facilitate collective development. Remember that in the ocean of subconscious, the currents are the unconscious. That is to say, if, instead of using the current, you live in it because it is easier, you will never come out of the unconscious. Taking life as a simple, constant act of flowing places you in a place of irresponsibility, in which you do not make your own decisions, but rather they remain in the hands of the environment, its speed, its movement, and pressure on you. Me. In other words, taking flow as a philosophy of life makes me unconscious. How do I use it to be conscious? I am. You must remember that the current of the ocean flow of the universe is only a means of transportation, not a way of life. It helps the beings to distribute themselves, but then each being must get out of the current and take their own path. Animals use the current not to live by, but to get to or return to a place. Swimming through deserts where there are no currents, or traveling through spaces without momentum, is absurd. It is making a titanic and unnecessary effort. That is, those who fight in life to get what they want, to reach a specific place that is in their heads, and go against the current to reach such a destination. The schematic and methodical people who do not allow themselves to flow are wasting the flow of currents that drive and move beings throughout the cosmos. Me. These are the people who must learn to flow, who are told, calm down, let things flow, let them pass, and let yourself be carried away by the current until you find the right destination. I am. That's right. And on the other hand, you find those who never stop saying, flow, there is nothing else to do. Well, this version of the facts goes against the manifestation of your creative power, of your conscience to manifest your reality, to live your here and now, to portray your dreams. Me. That Piscean vision of letting everything go, of flowing through life, of having no structures, then, makes people who enter the new spiritual currents confuse flowing with indifference, with letting go, and never being responsible. Well, the universe will take care of it. I am. And you need to know, recognize, that the universe is you, and you must take care of your part in it. Imagine that the cells decided to flow freely, freeing themselves from their tasks and leaving everything in the hands of the nervous system. Sooner or later, the body would collapse, and you would die. For this reason, it is necessary to recognize that there is a bloodstream which, like rivers, flows, distributing information. But in the same way, there are blocks of cells that store the information carried, forming organs that perform specific tasks. Without the cells, there is no blood flowing. Without blood flowing, there are no cells. The structures, the patterns, the norms, the routine, the schemes are useful for the consequence, for the continuity of a being, for the manifestation of his dream. Me. The problem would be clinging to the system, to the structure as the only way. I am. Exactly. And this is where the importance of flow comes in. This is where the being discovers the importance of letting go. The great mountains were cut and shaped by the constant flow. The water advances better than a group of stones among the rocks of a valley. The more firm and rigid you become, you will not get very far. You will never see the sea. But the more flexible, loose, free you feel, you will flow between the rocks as if they did not exist, flowing endlessly towards the ocean. The flow teaches us, reminds us, that it is important to be flexible, to evolve, adapt, continue making the transformation. On a physical level, on an emotional level, on a mental level, being flexible, flowing, is the key to transcendence. Me. Even so, living from the flow prevents building, having foundations, sustaining a reality. I am. The orographic wonders, such as the great mountains, the beautiful valleys, the canyons with their different strata, are the product of the flow of water and the wind shaping the structures of space, earth, and lava fire. You can see then that it is the flow that designs the most beautiful and amazing structures of the landscapes of the world. The pillars, the columns of the world, the realities that you observe are nothing more than structures and patterns molded by the flow, accepting to be matter. Me. So, the key to flow is to recognize that it is not a way of life, but a path to its destinations, where I have then to build my reality. I am. You must be the conscious being that dares to immerse itself in the currents of the unconscious ocean, driven by the collective, knowing how to swim, learning to get out of the current when it is just and necessary, to be able to manifest yourself and not live on the dream of the others, driven by their intentions. May the flow not become the excuse for your irresponsibility, but the tool of your empowerment. Me, now I can say that I flow in the necessary order at my will. I am the will to be guided and to lead. The flow is the one that tells you where, but it will depend on you what you do when you get there. Me, I flow because I am here and now. I am. Be like the river, and you will move mountains.